Yes, 2-5 Daily is here. I am your host, 2-5. So do me a favor, saying, check us out, do some liking, do some subscribing. Tonight we got Sports Reports is Ordered coming at you, me and Mr. Logical. We're going to be talking about the importance of the combine. Is that a thing? We're going to be talking about the NBA MVP race. So, we should be going live around 9 Eastern or so. Maybe a little later than that. I'll keep you posted. But I wanted to talk about college football. We're in this point where the 12-team playoff is starting this year, at least for 2 years up until 2026. And then there's some other options on the table. So, what are some of those options? Right now, we were a 6-6, set up where there were six automatic bids, six conference or six at larges, but then the Pac-12 went away. So now we're down to five. So that's your four highest conference champions and probably your G5 champion, and then seven at larges. So where does that leave Notre Dame? There's been some talk throughout the course of time that with the 12-team playoff as structured, Notre Dame won't host a home game because they won't be a conference champion. So you would think that that might put some pressure on the Irish to join a conference. But I feel that as long as NBC is willing to pay, then Notre Dame has the whole world in their hands. So they could save the ACC. They're big enough, they're highly sought after enough that if they decided to join the ACC, that would save the ACC. Florida State might stay. Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, the Magnificent Seven would probably stick around. But as we move forward, Tony Petitti, the conference commissioner of the Big Ten, has been talking about a 14-team playoff. So what that would entail is three automatic bids for the SEC, three automatic bids for the Big Ten, two for the ACC and Big 12, one for your G5 champions. So that would be 11 spots out of the possible 14, leaving three at large spots. Now, a 10-2 Notre Dame team is not going to get left out of a 14-team playoff. A 9-3 Notre Dame team is probably not going to get left out of a top 14 play or 14 team playoff. But how could they? This is where you get into this minutia of what happened during the regular season. So like this season, for example, we had two teams, Ole Miss and Penn State, who ended up matching up in a bowl game. But their seasons, as great as they were finishing the regular season 10-2, they both lost to the two best teams in their conference. So Ole Miss beat everyone but lost to Alabama and Georgia. Penn State beat everyone but lost to Ohio State and Michigan. So under these setups, in this 14-team playoff, they would both be in because Ohio State, Michigan would have got the first two automatic qualifiers from the Big Ten. Penn State would have been your third place team. Same with Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. So in that scenario, could those two teams, depending on what happens in the other conferences, leave Notre Dame out? Because since the ACC and Big 12 have two automatic slots, let's think about this. Let's say Kansas State finishes second in the Big 12, 8-4, right? And then you got, say, Louisville or Virginia Tech, 9-3 from the ACC. Notre Dame sitting over here at 10-2, but you also have, say, a 10-2 Oklahoma from the SEC. You got a 10-2, we'll call it Wisconsin from the Big Ten. And now that last slot comes down to, say, a Notre Dame and a Missouri. Now, money wise, Notre Dame is the correct answer. But what if Missouri is 10-2, maybe let's call it 10-3. They lost in the SEC title game. So that's why they fell down. And there were other teams there that were able to take the spot, being that Missouri lost. Could Notre Dame find themselves on the outside? If it happened once, there'll be some outcry, but probably no big deal. If it happens 2 to 3 times, is it time for Notre Dame to join a conference? I say no, because Notre Dame, if they're not in the top 14, from Notre Dame standards, let's say they're 9-3, Notre Dame probably doesn't want the playoff spot anyway. If they're 10-2 and get left out, whole different conversation. But that's the thing about Notre Dame. You remember, this is the same school that used to turn down bowl bids if it wasn't certain prestige involved in that bowl game. So if there's a 16th ranked Notre Dame team that's 9-3, they don't deserve to be in anyway. But I'm pretty sure a 10-2 Notre Dame's going to get in every time. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.